Hi, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. I'm so glad that you're here. It is January 17th. So, apparently, aside from the brilliant legal mind of Jay Sekulow, the Trump legal defense team has now announced that they're bringing on Ken Starr and Alan Dershowitz to the team. So, let's take a look at that, because I guess maybe it's getting real for them. I guess maybe Trump finally figured out that maybe they better kick into gear and, create some sort of a defense at the very least. So, and I think that yesterday's swearing-in ceremony was really a defining moment for more Republican senators than I think we think. So that, does that mean that they're going to all of a sudden see the light and do the right thing? Well, I don't know. But there's definitely a feeling, as I was watching it, that there was literally like this sort of, oh crap, this is serious moment. So, let's hope that a few people have had their conscience woken up. So we shall see. We shall see. But for today, I think I want to take a look at Trump's defense team. What is going on? Why are they bringing in these people? Yeah. When I heard Alan Dershowitz's name, I had to giggle because, it wasn't that long ago that he was bitching and complaining because the people of Martha's Vineyard weren't treating him very nice. And, he didn't think that was fair just because he was standing up for, I think he said it was the rule of law or something, but really he was just defending Trump. And, when he got cranky because people just didn't love him anymore. I don't actually think that he was that well loved before, however. So, I'm not saying that this is going to get I don't think at Martha's Vineyard he's exactly going to be treated like the prodigal son for joining the defense team. So let's take a look and see what is going on with that team. I think now they're up to, 6 lawyers, but I could be wrong. Come on down. I have a question. Okay, so we want to take a look at what is going on just overall with Trump's defense team, and if we can get any insights or guidance in terms of the 2 newcomers, that would be also good. And let's not forget, according to the Lev Parnas interview with Rachel yesterday, he sort of implicated Sekulow. So that's kind of curious, right? Because in a real world situation, not this kind of crazy reality that we're living in, he would be considered a witness, never mind a flipping part of the defense team. So I don't know what that's about, but let's take a look and see what we can find out. Here we go. Trump defense team, Trump defense team, Trump defense team. Okay, so let's start here. This is indicating a couple of things. Okay, so on the one hand, it's sort of indicating that the defense team feels that things are falling into place or moving along. That could be a reflection of the 2 new lawyers they have brought on board, but they are feeling cautiously optimistic, and I'm not quite sure why, given all of the information that's come out recently that has really implicated Trump in a far more serious way, I think, than anybody perhaps wanted to acknowledge. The other side of it, however, the other side of this card is, along with this sort of sense of, okay, maybe we can just pull this all together and pull it off. There is also an overwhelming sense that the visibility, the illumination, the stuff that is coming out and is going to be coming out in the days and weeks ahead really, really could absolutely bury them. And as days go by, you get this sort of sense that they're perpetually reevaluating. They're always tweaking stuff. They're trying to figure out the best way to present something, or the best way to sort of skirt around something they don't want to talk about. So they feel like they are carrying a rather heavy load. And the fact that they have Trump for a client, only makes it that much more difficult. So in part, you have like literally government lawyers, right? And so they feel as if the whole apparatus of the government is behind them. And I'm not exactly sure that that's wrong, right? Because Pompeo and Barr, those kinds of people are Mulvaney, they're all standing sort of solidly behind Trump, frankly, whether they want to be or not, whether they realize it's a stupid place to be or not. So they feel that they have at least some strength or some leverage on their side, but they are really, really scared as this thing moves forward and they continue to evaluate, that the illumination and the bright lights really could cause an ending. And the more stuff that comes out, the more fruitful the investigation is, the more fruitful the journalists are, the more fruitful the information, the harder and harder it is going to be for them to move forward. That is part of the reason, of course, that there really was, and I think to some degree still is, this sort of rush to get this thing done, because it really, really is a fear that the more the information is floating around out there, the more jeopardy Trump is in. The more bad information, or information that doesn't reflect well on him, is going to bubble to the surface. And so that really has them kind of in some ways between a rock and a hard place, because let's not forget, you can be loyal to Trump and you can be all of those things. But when it comes right down to it, you're a lawyer. You have a law license. You don't want to end up stabbed in the back by either the, I don't know who that is, the board, whoever it is that can revoke licenses, whatever that name is. You don't want to come under fire for them. The way Bill Barr has, for example, they are now sort of saying, you know what, you guys need to investigate this guy. He is so partisan, it's ridiculous. So, on the one hand, they're trying to do what they're trying to do, but they're starting to see that the lawyers sort of don't bode well, for God's sakes. I mean, Cohen's in jail. So they also have that sort of dynamic that's going on internally within their own heads and minds about, I need to be careful, right? I need to make sure that I don't put myself in legal jeopardy trying to find somebody who is already in a great deal of not only political jeopardy, but legal jeopardy following hot on the heels. Oops. Okay. So, got the lawyers here being concerned. In many ways, they are doing their level best to prepare for things not going their way, and they're understanding the volatility of that situation because they have Trump for a client. I'm going to say that kind of what you have going on here is information continuing to come out, and that in and of itself could end up creating a lot of tower moments. And I know I stole this phrase from one of my viewers, and I often use the phrase death by 1,000 cuts, and he was like death by 1,000 towers, and it really is accurate. I'm officially stealing that phrase, because that really is what it feels like. It feels like day by day by day, more and more stuff comes out. I mean, it is Friday morning where I am right now, and I can guarantee that by Monday morning, there are going to be at least 1 or 2 more bombshells that come out over the weekend. So there is some real concern and real worry, because they can't control the stuff that's going on sort of outside of that legal parameter. And there is also a concern about the fact that Justice Roberts is not going to be partisan. They really see him as a straight shooter. And so there is concern there. And, there's sort of that buffer, because the Republican Party, because they have the majority, they can overrule any of the judge's rulings. But as I said before, there is a price to be paid if you're continually looking as if you are bucking justice, which is exactly what it looks like if the judge gives a ruling and you say, yeah, you know what, I'm not liking that one so much, so we're just going to overrule that. You might be able to get away with it once or twice, but if you start doing that on any sort of a regular basis, that is going to be a disaster. So they're not as in the clear, and they're not as powerful, and they're not in as great a position as they like to project. And I mean, to be fair, that's what politics is, right? It's projection. So again, you've got information coming out all over the place. You have information about money coming out. You have communications coming out that they can't control. There's, more and more information that's going to come out. I wouldn't be surprised over the weekend if we don't hear something about the involvement of other countries, or, I mean, beyond Russia and even Ukraine. I'm talking about somebody else who's sort of not in the main frame right now, and maybe not even be connected to the actual impeachment hearing or the impeachment trial that's about to start. But I would not be surprised if there is some information that comes out over the weekend about other countries and how they have been paying Trump, or they have been kind of being manipulated behind the scenes. So that's definitely, I'm thinking that's coming, it's bubbling to the surface, that energy. And again, you have people in that that defense team who are frankly concerned. Some of them are, God, I'm really wondering if this is the best choice. On the one hand, I don't really feel like I have a choice, but really, is this going to end up being, a disaster for me? Because already behind the scenes, there is a lot of it's not infighting as much as, one lawyer is arguing with the other lawyer about how things should be or said or done. There is some of that. But really, the stress and the agitation within the legal department really does seem to come from Trump. And I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the legal team is in much closer communications with William Barr than I'm sure is appropriate. So, there really is this sense of, they have this kind of winning at all costs attitude, but some of the lawyers who are a wee bit more level-headed are starting to wonder and question whether that's exactly the best strategy, because they're putting themselves at jeopardy. And the bottom line is Trump may lose the presidency, but he's going to anyways, right? But they could lose their licenses. So they need to be careful of that. And again, you know what? This is interesting because we have the Page of Swords, Wands, and Pentacles all showing up here. And so this is all about communication that's coming forward. This is all about new information. I mean, it looks like it's coming from a bunch of angles, right? There's information about money. There's information about legal matters or the law. And there's information about communications and the way things are being handled or not handled, or communications that are going on behind the scene, or stuff that is being leaked. So, yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of secrets that they're juggling. And that is it's difficult. And you know what? This is the thing, right? Even though the impeachment per se may not be dealing necessarily with the current situation, okay? But there is enough going on from the past and enough stuff creeping up from the past that it's putting them in a position of perpetually trying to keep up, catch up. Now, you know, don't kid yourself. The likes of Ken Starr and the likes of Alan Dershowitz are all about the prestige of this. You know, it goes back to that whole Giuliani syndrome, where there really is that feeling of, I need to be relevant. I need to be a part of this. And, you know, whether they just think that they're clever enough that they can ride this out, or I don't know what's going on in their heads, frankly, okay? But there is definitely, when you see the Ken Starrs and the Dershowitzes in particular, you know, why are they doing this? Why did they join the team? Well, a significant part of what motivated them is that they just want to be part of the group, right? They want to be relevant. They want, I don't know, history to reflect that they were there, and they played a role in this. And so I guess that's a really good motivator if you're if the sort of bright shining part of your career has started to fade, or frankly is flat out over. So there's definitely that sense that they're just, you know, like everybody else who surrounds Trump, none of them really are in it for their own, they're not in it to help Trump and to protect Trump. Their primary motivation is, what does this get me? How does this look, you know, in my world? How does this reflect on me? And for some of them, it really is just a matter of, you know, having their voice or their name associated, associated with such a historic and monumental event. And I suspect, because as of right now, as much as, you know, we don't want to hear it, there is a significant chance that, you know, this actually may end up in an acquittal. Then they can actually say going forward, well, yeah, you know what, we were on the winning team. And to a lot of people, that is a really, really big feather in their cap. Now, overall, I'm going to say that that's probably not going to work out for them. They're going to be walking away in disappointment. And part of the reason is that they literally cannot control what's coming out next. They really do have a lot of darker energy and darker forces going on with the Trump and that whole situation. And they don't have a great deal of comfort and confidence that it's going to turn out so well. I'm definitely seeing disappointment for them. Now, you know, does that mean that they actually lose and he is removed from office? I'm not going there yet, but I will say that they are in for some disappointments. And I kind of get the feeling that part of what might happen is, no sooner did they sort of make a statement, right, that somebody comes along and says, that's a lie. That's a lie. And this is the proof to say that's a lie. You know, just like yesterday, Parnas's lawyer, after Trump was on and on about, I don't know this guy, I don't know who he is, I don't know what he's about, this is ridiculous. Of course, I've had my picture taken with him. I've had my picture taken with everybody. So then his lawyer releases this video where the two of them are standing side by side talking to a small group of people. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where they no sooner make a stance than they turn around and it is being contradicted publicly in a public forum, where, you know, at some point you have to start recognizing that you're being told a story and the story pieces are falling apart. Okay, they're not coming together. So they have actually a lot on their plates. And like I said, they're in for a significant change of fortune. I don't see this going super well for them. I think that some reputations are going to be damaged, and in some cases possibly even destroyed. There is a sense that they are really going to end up in a position of really, really having to defend what is almost the indefensible, okay? They have a lot. This is a heavy lift. And again, unless you are an evangelical, there is probably some degree of, you know, openness to hearing the facts and hearing the information, because the other Republicans out there are not trying to get to the rapture. And to some degree, they probably really are trying to get to the truth of it. So they're going to find themselves in a place where it's really hard to defend this perfect call. And of course, you've got Trump. God bless him. He is just blasting ahead. You know, he is the ultimate in a micromanager. Okay, he can't leave anything to anybody else. So if we think that he is actually quietly behind the scenes listening to his lawyer's advice, we're nuts, because he's not. He's yelling, he's screaming, he's demanding, he's insisting, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he doesn't understand the law, not one little bit. I mean, I actually think that he thought when this whole impeachment thing started, I really think on some level, he actually thought that it was just a matter of, like, you know, paying somebody off or, you know, I mean, he's always made those legal cases against him kind of disappear, or at least end up kind of being benign, if you will, right? So, you know, he's never really gotten the book slammed at him. He's never really paid any sort of a significant price for his illegal activities or the things he does that is just inappropriate. He has escaped justice, if you really think about it. So he has no reason to believe, and he had no reason to believe, that he couldn't make this impeachment thing go away too. And apparently he couldn't, and he didn't. Yesterday he did send out a tweet, something along the lines of, I've been impeached for making a perfect phone call. So that's the attitude that the lawyers are dealing with from him. And, you know, you gotta almost feel sorry for them. Okay, so again, you know, you have information coming out. There's information from overseas, from other places that is going to come out about Trump's behavior. You have more information coming out, and women, that again, this is that divine female energy, right? There is just that sense that the women around Trump, perhaps with the exception of that McSally chick from Arizona, who just, you know, really yesterday with that statement to the CNN reporter, really, really did put herself in the mud with the slugs. But I think that there's a lot of women and even some Republicans who are really going to go, you know what, there's just too much. There's too much. And we have to look at this closely. And by extension, I'm also talking about Republican voters. Again, you know, it is those white, suburban, and I'm sure, frankly, that not all suburban women are white. I really don't like that kind of designation. But the suburban women, the moms, the career people out there who are saying, whoa, 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 this is beyond the pale. We're not going to put up with this. We have to start pushing back. And there are still secrets that are going to come to light. There are still things that the defense attorneys literally do not have a handle on yet, and it's not going to end up, they've sort of cut off more than they can chew, or bitten off more than they can chew. And I'm messing around with my cards because I just want to get some of these out of the way because they have finished talking. And let's look at this. Like, really, let's look at this. How is it when you have, so this is the legal team, right? This is the defense for Donald Trump. You have a change of fortune coming that has karmic implications. Okay, so you got to figure out that karmically he is not going to be rewarded. They are not going to be rewarded with flowers and lollipops as this thing moves on. Okay, so you've got a change of fortune coming. You have the devil sitting here. So that's not only talking about kind of Trump and his attitude and the personality that they're dealing with there, but it also has to do with things being sort of out of control, things being backwards, the lawyers almost having to reverse their oath. If you understand what I'm saying, they're kind of having to go against, for the most part, what they learned in law school and what they believe is correct. And I get that these people are defense attorneys, and so they don't look at things the same way as a prosecutor would, but still in all. Now you have death. So that's talking about literally an ending that, brings a stop. And you have the tower here. And that's, again, a defense that is built on sand is not going to hold up. And so you can see where things are going to, it's not going to go smoothly for the defense. And frankly, the worse it gets, the crazier Trump is going to get. And here you have kind of the end result. It's bad enough that they've got a change of fortune going on. They got the devil, they got death, they got tower. And on top of that, you know what? Why don't we just stab them with 10 of swords? So I think that this is really a bit of an uphill battle. I don't think that this is going to be an easy lift at all. And they're going to put on a good show, and they're going to make these statements, and the press is going to, and they're going to, try to decipher it. It's a bluff. Okay. They are not in a strong position. The only strength they have is the fact that they literally need something like almost 20 Republicans to find Trump guilty. And that is all they have going in their corner. And to be fair and to be honest, that isn't a bad thing. Okay. I mean, for the rest of us, it's horrible. But if you're the defense team and you know that you have a jury pool that is so anxious to completely disregard facts, I guess if you're a defense attorney, that's perfect for you, right? That's exactly what you want. So there we have it. That's kind of what's going on with the defense right now. Again, it's going to be interesting to watch as this unfolds. And I suspect there's going to be kind of a lot of unfolding that goes on with that, right? Okay, so once again, I thank you so much for your support, the support of the new Soulprint Insights channel. I have been getting a comment or two from my viewers of this channel saying that even though they have the notification bell on, they're not getting notified. I'm not showing up in their notifications, so they're having to search through their subscriptions to find me and see if there's a new video out. And I have to tell you that my subscriber numbers have been frozen. They have not dropped, but they have been frozen for the last like 2.5 days. And that's just kind of really unusual. So again, I ask you to please double check that you're subscribed, double check that bell is on so you're getting notifications, and hopefully whatever this is will get resolved soon enough. Okay, so until next time, take care, be well. We'll see you soon. Bye.